Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is a whole lot of fun. I think this is actually the first noteworthy Call of Duty game released since the last soft reboot of Call of Duty Modern Warfare that came out around 2019. A pretty good title that was noteworthy and enjoyed by many players, even players who weren't exactly fans of the Call of Duty franchise. This was absolutely the perfect time for Microsoft to complete their acquisition of Call of Duty and Activision. I am absolutely certain that their numbers have absolutely skyrocketed since the release of Black Ops 6, as everybody now realizes that they can actually play Call of Duty if they get their hands on a Microsoft or Xbox console and get it through Game Pass. For me personally, this is actually the very first time I've ever played a Call of Duty release at launch. I was previously on the PlayStation systems, and now it seems those systems are missing out on something very, very special. Game Pass is an exceptional value proposition, and Call of Duty is a great game to bring people in because it's damn solid.
Come on, you're losing this fight. There's two things you've never messed with. A man's toothbrush, his goddamn warhead. Hang on, I'm going.
Now, Omni Movement is what personally got me really interested in this title in the very first place. As someone who really enjoys Max Payne 3, this seemed like a really good move to revolutionize the entire gameplay experience. No title in history since then has even properly implemented this type of movement system into their action game, not even future Rockstar games such as GTA 5 or even Red Dead Redemption 2. Those titles would have greatly benefited from a influx of these cool gameplay mechanics. In reality, the change in the actual game is small and only really effective in a few situational examples. If you're coming from Modern Warfare 3, it's not a huge gameplay difference. Sliding in most cases is more effective than diving because unfortunately doing that will leave you very open for a counter-attack as you cannot remove immediately. So as you all know, Omni Movement was one of the main selling points for Call of Duty Black Ops 6, but if that isn't so great, why is Black Ops 6 still a really great game? Let me explain. Unexpectedly, what is usually the worst part of Call of Duty games is this game's bright spots. The campaign is good, possibly the best Call of Duty campaign ever. Not a very high standard, but the campaign is still to be commended. Now, the campaign focuses a lot more on the espionage aspect of these games. You're much more of a super spy than an actual soldier, and honestly, I can't be mad as they've probably pretty much exhausted all the avenues of making a compelling army game anymore. Now, if we're comparing this campaign to other single-player games in the genre, the rating definitely drops remarkably. Call of Duty campaigns are the definition of good, casual gamer experiences, cool visuals and a great tutorial before jumping into the multiplayer. Comparing to other shooting single-player games, it's sorely lacking in the depth department. This game doesn't hold a candle to games such as Metro, Far Cry and the many others in this space, but this is still progress. This is undoubtedly Call of Duty's most experimental game I've ever seen them do. The amount of things and ideas that they drop and hint in this Call of Duty campaign is very impressive. They show ideas of being able to fulfill your missions in different ways and inputting completely different genres into these games through the use of hallucination. Very cool. There's one specific zombie level where you can go in multiple directions. I'm not a huge fan of the structure and the way it was handled structurally. I'm just personally not a fan of picking up things and slotting them in to move past artificially created roadblock. I'm just personally not a fan of that. But the things that happen in each area, for me personally, show that these developers are actually kind of wasting some of their talents working on a Call of Duty campaign. These guys could actually work on a really competent single-player thriller or horror action single-player game. Like, dude, the amount of cool things that happen in that mission are absolutely astounding. There's one section with the puppets, which I'm not going to spoil for you. I need you to find that out for yourself. Probably the most memorable moment of this entire campaign. And me personally, I was frustrated at first because I'm not a fan of horror at all. If I'm playing a horror game, I'm going to prepare my mind that I'm going to be playing horror. This is what I'm getting myself into. Seeing these aspects put into a Call of Duty campaign was surprising, but by the end of it all, I did enjoy story, that mission, and they're experimental throughout. They use these things and different types of mission styles to at least vary up the gameplay, so it isn't just shooting gallery after shooting gallery after shooting gallery. While the Call of Duty Black Ops 6 campaign isn't one that's going to be remembered for ages, I do think it's a good starting point and catalyst for amazing campaigns to possibly come in the future. But because of the way that they model these games, it's clearly made for the casual gamer, so adding too much depth into these stories might put off a lot of people. I enjoyed the campaign and it was quite lengthy, much more than the previous, which was about 3.5 hours. This was over double the amount of playtime you got, and they put a lot of depth into everybody. All of the characters were properly developed, and if you wanted to spend more time with them and speak to them, you had the opportunity to do so. For me personally, the safe house dynamic didn't really hit for me. I would have simply preferred some more intimate cutscenes showing and moving the story along. Now, I've spent quite a bit of time speaking about the single player campaign, which is this game's bright spot. I haven't mentioned too much about the multiplayer because it is good, but it is definitely more of the same. I did make a video a few weeks ago speaking about the Call of Duty Black Ops 6 beta. Now, before I hopped into this beta, I was actually playing for a few weeks Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 in anticipation for this release. Excited and hoping that the multiplayer was going to give something revolutionary. Unfortunately, that didn't come. This is going to be your standard Call of Duty multiplayer experience. It is good and the maps are quite alright. There's quite some solid maps, and you'll be seeing some of the same few maps in which you experienced inside of the beta. And this is a problem, as you always do in pretty much every single multiplayer game, that unfortunately you'll be circled and be playing on the same maps again and again and again. This is just an issue that you face, because I remember I was playing pretty much just last night and I was playing on the same 3 maps and I'd already had enough. And as I'd mentioned before, the Omni movement is way too situational for it to revolutionize the gameplay experience. It's on very few occasions where I was actually defeated by somebody using Omni movement. What was much more effective was sliding, being prone, or jumping or hopping around in the vicinity to be able to get me and to make me miss my shots. It is not a revolutionary gameplay change that is going to change the way you play Call of Duty forever. It is a welcome change, and I like Call of Duty Black Ops for one thing. They're trying things, and you can see they actually put real passion into this game, and I'm personally going to be sinking a lot more hours into Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Now, for the zombies. As I mentioned, I'm not really a fan of horror, and the zombies mode isn't really scary at all. The zombies mode is back, and it is cool, and it's got some pretty cool things implemented into it, and of course they're continuing the zombie story if you've been following the zombie story from game to game. It's alright, it's serviceable, and it's solid. I did spend a little bit of time playing the zombie mode. It was alright. Maybe I'll rope some of my friends to finally hop on and join me on it, but it was a serviceable experience and it's alright. For me personally, nothing noteworthy to speak of. If we talk about the entirety of Call of Duty Black Ops 6 as an entire experience, how is it going to be for you? I'm going to tackle this from a few different perspectives. If you're somebody who's never played a Call of Duty campaign, Black Ops 6 is going to be impressive to you, and it is going to be exciting, and it's going to be a very good experience. You're actually quite lucky because you've now actually caught Call of Duty back in their prime, trying things and trying to be exciting. This will be a good experience to you, and I'd highly recommend it for you. Now, if you're somebody who's coming from Modern Warfare 3 or even Modern Warfare 2, not too far away, and you're hoping that this Omni movement is going to be revolutionary or this campaign is absolutely going to change your life, no, there is improvement and there is experimental stuff put into the game, but it is not going to completely blow you away. Now, this is the thing. When coming to a final rating for this game, it becomes difficult because it's more of the same. And what you can say is that, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So, in my final rating of Call of Duty Black Ops 6, it is getting an 8 out of 10. Call of Duty is a great game, and it is more of the same. If you've taken a long hiatus from Call of Duty or you've never played it before, it is going to be a great game for you. But of course, if you've been following Call of Duty for many years, your utility and enjoyment of this game is going to decrease. If you're probably a veteran, maybe for you this will be a 7 out of 10. It's more of the same. It's a good game and you're going to continue to enjoy it, but it is nothing special. It's a content refresh and a pretty solid campaign. My name is Explicit Sage. I thank you for joining me for another video. More content on video game analysis and anime analysis is on the way. I'll check you on the next video. I'm out. Cheers, guys.